I'm going to wind it down to final two questions. Okay. So the first one being, who inspires you now? Who or what? So not to limit it.
That's an easy one for me.
Oh, easy?
Yeah, simple.
Okay.
Young people getting into the game. Really? Absolutely. I've been doing it for a while now, and I started here when I was 27. And it's seeing people starting and the energy and the curiosity and the absolute shocking vitality of how they present themselves is inspiring. It's like, here you go, Paul, here's a solid reminder of why you started doing this in the first place. And then it lifts the kind of jadedness, it fills me with energy, and I think that's maybe why this kind of slight move into more people design, interaction design, something is happening, because I'm so inspired by that, and I think it's, I think we have to be. I don't know.
That's so cool. It's true. No, I echo that, because I feel like when I started teaching, and I only started this year, I was in a place where I wasn't really freelancing. I didn't want to take on any freelance projects, and then I started seeing what the students were creating. And so I teach at Shillington, and obviously it's an intense course. They have 9 months on the part-time course, and just seeing how quickly they pick up design and just the work they've been able to create, the evolution of it within 3 months, and even some things that they can create in a one night. And I say one night, it's only 4 hours. They'll get the brief and they'll finish it in 4 hours. And I am so inspired by what they're creating. And they're not even, do you know what I mean? I think we're almost halfway through the course at this point. And honestly, I think I had a guest on before, and I asked her something similar, what inspires you, who inspires you? And she was her students, because she teaches. So Olivia, she teaches, I can't remember where. I want to say LCC, that might be wrong. And she was just she has a lot of international students. So they're bringing their influences and the artists that they know and their techniques that she's not necessarily seen before. And she's just wow, And I think that almost encouraged me as well to pursue teaching, because I was I want to see some cool stuff. Because you have a community which becomes an echo chamber in a way. You kind of see the same things. Even on IG, your feed becomes what the people that you follow look at. So, seeing what the students are into, or how they create, or how they problem solve, and they don't necessarily know the programs very well, so they find these botched ways of doing things. It's so cool. I love it. Good. I love it. What about you?
Yeah, that was really cool, actually. I didn't think of that. For me, in the least awkward way, I think at the moment it's a lot of Marseille. It is, and I think for me it's just been, I feel just so blessed to have worked, I think, with, I was going to say her, but you're right there, so I'm just going to say you, to work with you, and just to see it's, for me, it's very obvious to see you are very curious and I'm doing this, but I also thought about this, I'm going to dabble in this, and I'm sometimes listening and I'm where'd you get this energy from, or how, what, is it going to work, I'm are you not scared? And you never sound like you're scared. Maybe you are, but to me, it just sounds I'm going to try it, and we're going to see what's going to happen, and I'm just wow, and it kind of reminds me that you don't have to be stuck in one area or with one thing. It goes back to the beginning of what I said. My love for creativity now is there's so much space. So seeing someone actively reach out in different parts of that space, on a day. So then it became on a daily basis when we were working together, or what I mean, 3 times in a week. But yeah, you know what I mean, working together. It was this is so interesting. I was this is scary, but interesting.
I assure you it's scary.
Yeah, and I think it just kept pushing my mind outside of my comfort zone. So I'm the type of person who, if you give me something to do, I'm great, let's get it done. Let me see how I can get it done, and this is it.
Blinkers on,
this is it. And then I see Marseille and I'm oh, you're making me feel so uncomfortable. But it's so seeing you do it, I'm wow, this is scaring me. But if you're doing it and it's possible, and like just venturing into it, but then you venture into something, but you do it well. So even today, like I came and I said, this is so nicely done. You know what I mean, Force? You know what I mean? So you venture into things and you try things, but you do it with this level of like excellence. And I think, that's
like
how I see it. That's how I see it. And that to me is inspiring. So it's not like you're just wasting your time in trying new things, but you're making sure you do it to a great standard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did not pay you to say that. I assure you I did not. Thank you. I think that's really encouraging because I think, you know, especially like as a freelancer, you kind of get lost in your own world and you're just like, kind of like you're just looking around like, and you're not always aware of the influence or impact that you're having on other people. But no, doing this podcast, terrifying. Like, it was my boyfriend that was like, you have to do this. He was like, you'll be great at it. So what he did was he did his one first, and he did a recording setup, and he made me do the set design. I say made me. He encouraged me to do the set design. And in all honesty, like, watching him do it, he's from a completely different background in, like, project management. And he's fearless. Like, you know, even the project he's working on now, like, in St. Lucia, and, like, you know, building a World Heritage site, he's project managing a build. Never done that before. But he doesn't care. For him, he's just like, why not? I can be there. I'm just going to show up and do it. And, like, and he does say, he's like, me doing it is I want to show you that you don't have to be afraid. Like, you can, he's like, you are way more gifted than I am. You have a lot more experience, a lot more talent, and a higher level of education. There should be nothing that stops you. And I'm like, it's natural. But it's been really helpful because he's pushed me to be better and to not be afraid to try and to explore and to be able to have stories to tell. You know, otherwise you just kind of live a very like safe life. And I think now, and I don't know if it's like the age that I'm at, where I'm like, I want to be able to tell like my kids something. I want like them to like, wow, my mom is cool. Like she did stuff. Like she lived.